All right. Well, welcome to Off the Pulpit.
Yes.
Yeah,
We're at the pulpit.
I'm sticking with it.
OTP?
I have gone back and forth, but I feel like the flow of Off the Pulpit feels better than trying to tell. When I've tried to tell other people and I've said pulpit to podcast, then it feels
Yeah.
Yeah, like when it comes up in conversation.
Yep.
You know,
Off the
I don't
Pulpit
know.
flows a little.
Yeah.
A little easier. So, anyways, I think we should stick with Off the Pulpit.
That's right, man.
Hey,
I'm
No objections.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm gonna plug OTP.
Yeah.
Off the pulpit.
As long as you say,
OTP.
yeah, you know me.
Yeah, that's right. You down with OTP? That's class right there.
Man, that's the
You know,
best one.
That is the best one.
Brand toilet paper. Oh,
Yeah.
no, wait. Just TP. My inner middle schooler just came out right there. So you're
Every
welcome.
time you hear TP, are you thinking that?
A little bit, but OTP is good. You know,
What's the OTP?
well, it's the good stuff. Don't worry about it.
You know me.
It's funny.
We have the fun.
All
Yep.
of it.
We have the fun.
Okay. Well, first of all, before we dive into the sermon from this past week, y'all, I can't not talk about two things dealing with our president.
Please go ahead and open that door.
Yeah.
I'm gonna crack open the door, Bill. If you've got pushback, I want it, man. I want you to give it to me. But all right, have you guys heard about his statue?
No.
No.
So wait. So I heard this in conversation. I have no context.
Yeah.
This came up in conversation with like a teacher or something like that from school, and it's like, oh yeah, his statue and stuff. And my brain went to the video he made about Gaza a long time
That's-
ago.
yeah.
Right? Is that the same one? Okay.
No.
So
No. He made that video.
Yeah.
The Trump Gaza video, and then I don't know if he was like using a little predictive programming for us or what.
Right.
But he has.
is he attempting to do this?
Oh, he's done it.
Oh dear.
What?
And they.
Oh dear.
Where's this statue?
I'm
In Mar-a-Lago,
well, that makes sense.
Oh my.
a 22-foot gold statue
Of himself.
Oh,
called Don Colossus.
Oh gosh.
And it's of Trump. And I meant to look up, like, what does Don Colossus mean?
That is so bad.
Dude,
I've got.
Look it up. You gotta
Okay,
pull it up.
okay.
I should have had it.
I've
up
got
for
one
you.
word for you. Dumb.
I think the thing that's craziest to me is that there are
That's a good word.
like these evangelical pastors who are defending it, who are saying like, oh, that's fine. Like, here's the deal. First of all, he did not make the statue himself. Like, he didn't hire it done.
Okay.
Somebody else did it, but he put it on his property. So,
Yeah.
there's,
Well, that was probably the only place he could put it that wouldn't have pushback.
Yeah.
I mean, sure. But there is
Let
a,
him get out of office, and all of a sudden, history writes what the good things he did, and then do a statue somewhere. But my gosh, really?
I
Do you
heard-
love yourself that much to have that?
Oh man.
Did you find
So it claimed this is some random Yahoo article.
Yahoo.
He didn't buy it. So a group of cryptocurrency investors
That's true.
paid $300,000 for the statue.
yeah,
or
it's
something.
bronze overlaid with gold.
Yeah. And it's
gold
used
leaf.
to promote a meme coin called the Patriot or something like that, or $ Patriot. And
Merchandising.
dude, I have a picture. I don't have a picture of it up at Mar-a-Lago, but I've got like a picture of it laid down.
Oh, you
like,
got to see the people in front of it when they like.
are they bowing? Are
No,
Okay.
but-
At
Is
least
this the
there's that.
golden calf and the bunny?
dude,
The
this
bunny.
This
Oh,
feels
I love
eerily
the bunny.
similar to like Daniel.
Oh
bro.
man,
Like,
I was somebody with the bunny analogy.
No,
You
that's
got that
that's
Veggie Tales.
Veggie Tales. That's
Yeah.
where it came from.
I know.
Totally. Did that plenty of times with the kids.
Dude, I can't believe.
The statue itself isn't the thing that bothers
We
me.
would have
I'm
lost.
just surprised. I'm not even looking. I just
You got to look it up, Bill. You can't skip it. You can't skip it.
You got to get the
All right,
full
fine.
enchilada here.
Oh, look, I was looking at projectors.
So, my problem is not necessarily with the statue itself. I was talking about this with Kelly the other day, and I said, if somebody made a statue of me, I couldn't stop them,
That's fair.
And anyway, in a kind of joking fashion, I was like, I don't know that I would stop it,
I'd put it up in the backyard.
Right, I might be like, "Hey, you made it." So I'm sure that to some degree he's done that. He's like, I didn't order it done. You know, I didn't hire somebody to make it for me. They made it. I think there's a fairness to accept that. However,
so the first thing that comes up when you search for this,
Here,
pastor defends golden Trump statue from biblical backlash.
yeah, isn't it like Mark Hall? Is that his name?
I don't know.
I saw the pastor who was defending it. You know, there's a whole bunch of people coming out, and they're equating it to, you know, the golden calf and, you know, Nebuchadnezzar. And
that's what I was like.
Do
That's
people have to
eerily
bow
similar
and
to
worship
some Nebuchadnezzar
It definitely has some Nebuchadnezzar vibes.
No doubt.
And I think one of the things that kills me with Trump right now is that the Trump Gaza video is still up on his social medias.
Yeah, so he took down his Jesus healing one.
Yeah, himself coming in and healing as a doctor.
Oh yeah.
Actually, they're saying
healed
it's,
people.
it's
Anyway.
John Mark Burns, an American evangelical minister and spiritual advisor. Trump National
the
Doral,
president.
Miami is where they did it.
Right.
Yeah,
That's close to Mar-a-Lago, isn't it? Though?
I think so. It's not. Yeah, it's.
Gosh, that is so goofy.
I think my point is that it's
If somebody made a statue of me, I'd be like, seriously, dude, please stop.
right. I mean, I feel weird when they insist on giving us gifts at Pastor Appreciation.
Right.
You know, I'm like, when they're
And
like,
you stand up there. You know.
You're right, and they're like, we got you all these gifts, and I'm like, I don't know how to receive this well. Like, you know,
And it right. And it's sweet. Like I
super
appreciate
sweet.
the blessing, but there is that moment of like,
you're right. You're like a kid holding up your gift when your mom's like, show
you.
everybody.
yeah.
What do you do?
Oh,
I think that it's, first of all, I think it's in bad taste. I mean, you are the standing president. It doesn't look good. It's not reflecting well.
For sure.
And
No.
there's no way that you don't know that people are, regularly calling you narcissistic and prideful. And I think that there's an amount of pride inside of that also, even if you kind of want the statue, you probably ought to say, hey, you don't put that up here.
Yeah.
Like put that up on your own property.
Yeah.
But you have cryptocurrency, put it up outside of your offices.
Yeah,
The Trump coin, statue.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that the point for me is it feels like super bad taste. And I think that we're also neglecting the fact that God really does hate pride.
Oh,
he
yeah.
tells us that he hates pride. So
Yeah.
I just don't think you should be putting up a giant golden statue.
the pride cometh before the fall.
Yeah. Words of wisdom.
Well, I'll tell you that. So with my eyes towards Gaza and his video, yes, poor taste. Yes, he could have made the smart decision there. But I think, this is based on our past conversations. Hey, he's messed up a little bit recently. We're kind of wrestling with those things. Like, this guy's never going to get out of the limelight. Along the same terms, like I must have had the conversation 3 times over the past week about, hey, he can legally run a third term, right? So,
Wait, I thought he wasn't able to do that.
I thought he wasn't able. Either.
he's allowed to be president again. You can't be elected 3 times. So I don't know.
Wait, how does that work?
JD's president and resigns day 1 because you could be vice president again. So anyway, that's one of like 4 different avenues that he could go to be president again.
I can't remember who it was, but forgive me for not knowing my history. There was a president. We've had a 3-term president because he ran once and then he lost. I thought, was it Jackson?
I don't remember.
I can't remember.
But
I don't think it was that far
well,
back.
I think the key piece though was actually what the Democrats did, and I am no expert, so please feel free to correct me or whatever. But big picture, he was legally impeached and then was an indicted felon and then was cleared of all that thing. But that impeachment or of the first term, it wasn't a complete term or something like that. That plays into opening more options for him to run again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it does go back. Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
FDR.
Yep.
So he
Only
was,
president to serve more than 2 terms, winning 4 elections and serving from 1933 to his death in 1945.
Oh, wow.
wow.
So he won 3 elections. Man,
Winning 4 elections.
winning 4 elections.
Which I'm
man.
not sure how, well, whatever.
yeah,
That's interesting. How does that work?
but
How do you win 1 but only serve 3? Unless they're saying he died in the middle of the. I see Bill reading real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
I'm
Let's
get
just
it
looking
together.
to see who everybody else is.
and the only reason I opened that can of worms is because I'll go back to what I said in the very beginning. Anybody with power, I am instantly like, hey,
for sure.
And I like a lot of good things that he's done, but eventually the maths. Eventually, it all adds up, and
Right.
you've got to wonder, I am on his political side in key issues in some areas. I think he's done great for our country. I do think we're going to look back decades in the future and be like, hey, this might have been one of the greatest presidents we've ever had because of all the things that got done. That doesn't make him a good man.
Yeah.
Or doesn't always make him make wise decisions. But so from statue to video to Instagram post, like this guy, he's gonna. I mean, he's critical to who we are every day. So I mean, we're gonna talk about him. But man, is it the red cape? I'm going to ask, is it the red cape? Hey, guys, focus on this thing. I mean, it's great. And I love talking about it.
What else is going on behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey, it's probably UFOs. Trust me.
So
let's open that can of worms.
That's the whole next can of worms.
Yeah.
Oh, was it really?
The UFO
There are
files?
No UFOs.
Guys,
By the way,
Has anybody looked at them?
really quick. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, did you see the one?
Put a pin in that really quick, just because we want to answer the question for our viewers. So it looks like the 2-term rule officially came into play in 1951.
That's
is what
why.
I'm saying.
After FDR.
After
Yeah.
FDR.
So
there
he
you go.
hasn't, it's 2-term, I think it's 2-election rule or something like that. But I know, well, again, based on listening to another podcast, et cetera, like there is a vehicle for him to serve a 3rd term as president.
Yeah.
So stay there for 1 second, though, because here's my question about the golden statue and then also about extra terms, because I vividly remember conservatives losing their mind with Obama, that he was going to have a 3rd term and that he was going to declare martial law before the election so that, he couldn't be pulled out of office during that time.
Right.
Kind of all kinds of wild speculation. And then none of that, came to pass. And I think the same thing, you had in 2020, you had an opportunity for a martial law situation, right in front of us, and they didn't use that. And so I just don't know that it's realistic that Trump's going to try to force his way into a 3rd term. But then again, he has shocked me in many other things. So if anyone's got the guts to do it, it's him.
Yeah.
Man, I think the Democrats would lose their mind.
Yeah.
I think they would.
Yeah.
If Obama had made a golden statue of himself.
Oh gosh.
So what would that look like on the other side?
Oh man, I'd be ticked.
Oh yeah.
I understand that, but I'm saying, so what would the Democrats have said? Would there have been the outrage?
Well, they probably would have had a bigger christening or whatever.
I think so.
Grand opening of their statue.
They'd have
whatever.
probably put it on White House grounds or something.
Yeah, for sure.
And added him to Mount Rushmore.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
I've seen that meme already.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm asking this. Is it true that he's trying to get his face put on a bill?
Somewhat. Oh, yeah. No, I saw that headline
Like
as
money?
well. I don't know
Oh.
if it's. I think it was like a $100 bill or something.
Yeah.
I don't know that for a fact, but I also saw that headline. So there you go. That's it.
I saw the headline.
I saw a headline and heard somebody talking about it and said if he did it, he would be the first standing president to have his face on money. Everybody else has passed,
Yeah.
Sounds like a challenge.
I was
That
like,
is, all of this is just so strange.
well, when I heard it, I was like, it tracks.
Yeah. It tracks.
that tracks.
Oh,
Way to
it
go,
tracks.
Gulf of America.
Yeah.
Now that I
right.
I do.
I'm all for the Gulf of America. Every time I'm down in the Gulf at Panama City or Destin and I see T-shirts, airbrush shirts or whatever with Gulf of America, I still chuckle. I'm like, I love it.
I do too.
I'm glad about
Yep.
that one.
That's a little pride. I'm okay with that national pride.
Yeah, I mean,
there you go.
I
As long as it's directed appropriately.
Appropriate.
listen,
That is-
I had not one thing to do with it. I just like the shirts. And so the Gulf of America.
Oh man.
All right.
America.
Find me on them UFOs.
UFO files.
Did you look at these? Have you?
I've seen a couple of them.
Nope.
You're staying out of it.
Nothing. I'm not staying out of it. I think it's interesting, but I mean, I don't even know where to start.
I got to
With
tell you,
me
it feels like a
personally,
red cape.
It does. It feels like, hey, look at this, but still,
I mean, come on.
and it actually came out to be that in New Jersey a couple years ago. They're like, oh, all this stuff over in New Jersey. So now, listen to another podcast the other day, and this guy's like ex-Delta commander or something like that, and he's like, yeah, I live in the mountains of whatever. I know what weapon that was. He's like, it was the military doing testing.
Sure.
And
Of course.
But long story short, do I believe in unidentified flying objects or whatever they're called nowadays? Yeah, I think I think we live in a crazy world. I think there's a lot of spiritual things out there, and I'm excited.
there we go.
I mean, there are so many unexplainable things in our world. This would not shock me at all. But I think the Bible talks about it. So
Well, just remember what a UFO is.
Right.
unidentified.
Right.
That doesn't mean that it's an alien.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, people want to go, aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
other things.
So
Yeah.
so am I
Spiritual
the, am I the
warfare.
only one at the table that actually went and looked at the files?
Please go look.
Okay,
yes,
go. Yeah,
for sure.
yes, you are.
Probably. I've seen bits and pieces.
Y'all got to go look at the files.
Did you
yourselves.
really like scour it?
I mean, there's not that much to scour unless
Okay.
there's just more deeper there that I'm not seeing, but I'm not impressed. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like,
What I've seen was unimpressive.
I wanted to read something that was like, we have this,
Guy.
thing, this person, this guy, this thing. We've got
Guy.
We've got this thing in Area 51, and here's
Yeah.
no, not even close, you
Yeah,
all. That's it. I could boil it down to a couple of things. The first one is a bunch of blurry pictures that look like they're from 1980s tabloids.
And they probably are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they're like little black dots or
Yeah.
little white dots that you can't make anything out. The best one they have is this, in the files, there's this video of a little 8-pointed, it's like round, looks like a target or like a compass.
Yeah.
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 And it's like erratically moving around. And I'm like, all right, look, if you guys, if y'all think the moon landing videos look bad,
Right. Yeah. For sure. For sure.
that
Right.
video,
So you don't think we
Yeah.
landed on the moon, huh?
Yeah. It's
No,
like some Atari 2600.
Bill,
you know.
I'll
We're
tell
really
you,
going to go
it's a
drive this thing right off the road.
Yeah.
Listen, the moon landing one, Kelly does not believe in the moon
Sure.
landing. She's like, look at all the pictures, it's comical. And I look at it, I'm like, that is kind of comical.
Oh, some
like,
of it's
there's-
pretty goofy.
There's some unexplained stuff inside of that. However, I go on the other end of that and go, okay, then you have to answer the question of how did you get millions of people, hundreds of thousands of employees or at least tens of thousands of employees at NASA to lie together in unison? You know?
Guys, let's go with 3 can keep a secret if 2 are dead.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I just cannot
How
imagine.
about if most of those other people didn't know?
That's fair, but it doesn't track for all of them.
I know.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's
someone would let it out, and they haven't.
And there are I get sent these videos of like Buzz Aldrin, and he'll make these comments, and he'll like get real wide eyed at people, and I'm like, why haven't we gone back? And then people take that little bit and they'll make it look like he's questioning. And I've went and watched those full videos, and every time he is definitely being smart aleck. He is, implying like I can tell what you're doing, and so he kind of like is messing with the person back.
Yeah.
And then, somebody clips it out and they're like, look, even Buzz Aldrin says we haven't, why haven't we gone back? And I mean, I'm with it. Like, how are we going to do such a thing like go to the moon and y'all going to lose the technology?
Right. Yeah.
Where's that?
Yeah.
You can't be like, we lost it all. Where did you lose it?
Where do we lose it?
Let's retrace some steps. Where were you in 1970?
Yeah.
Let's go there.
Yeah.
So remember,
It's in that hangar with the Ark of the Covenant.
this
Oh,
iPhone
goodness.
right here, which obviously I don't want to advertise, but has more technical computing power than what they use to land on the moon, supposedly.
So we should be able to use this.
I'm not a total
back.
believer.
Yeah.
I think there's something else going on with
I
it.
agree.
I think
You
there is.
look at that. and it
Nothing.
just
Nothing
doesn't-
would surprise me.
and,
But-
and that's coming
Wait, so
from
Bill, you don't
an
think
airline
you
captain.
don't think you don't think we've gone to the moon?
I'm not totally convinced. No,
Okay.
that doesn't mean I don't. I mean,
I can't wait to ask y'all if you believe in aliens or not.
Oh, dude, I'm primed and ready.
I'm ready.
I'm not
ready.
an alien fan either. I believe that's spirits, demons. I think it's biblical.
I think you might be onto something there. But do you think you doubt we've been to the moon? What about you, Kirk? Wait,
Yeah.
let's put you on the spot.
Yeah.
What do you
So
think on the moon landing?
So I'll tell you, man. Like, so I had a sermon last Wednesday, and I said like 2 or 3 times, "You want to take the red pill or the blue pill?" And so,
And how much of the audience got that?
dude, I mean, I had some people afterwards.
I can tell you the guy running front of house sound got it.
Yeah,
Laughed.
yeah. I had a lot of people be like, "Yeah, But all that being said, for real, like, I would not be shocked in the slightest to think that was not real. I have seen enough videos, and I'm not going to base it off of YouTube videos where I've been like, well, that's an interesting thing to point out. So I think I'm a little bit with Kelly on a few things.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, I'm just like, dude, nothing would surprise me in this world. Like,
I'm with you.
You know what I
there.
mean? Like,
there's definitely other
Yeah.
things that have made me question all kinds of things. But I still just contend. I'm like, I think there legitimately were like nearly 100,000 or maybe over 100,000 NASA employees.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could fool a certain amount of people, but then the more people you're trying to fool, the more people you need to pull that off.
Yeah.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
how did you keep all of those people from spilling the beans, and being like, this is what we did, we were just messing with all of you.
What was the name of that
so-
movie? Wag the Dog.
So here's where,
You've never seen that?
I don't know that one.
dude. So here's where
Topic
people are going to
for
be like,
another
"Oh, Kirk." Here's where people might be like, "Oh, Kirk's lost it." So that being said, let's take a pill.
Yep.
Right.
Take us down the rabbit hole, Kirk. I want
sure
to
I
know,
was
man.
So, dude, and I know you guys will agree with at least some of this. And man, I say this with caution, but so to answer that question, possibly demonic influence.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thing is, dude, aliens, moon landings, all the things in space that are in our scientific circles tend to distract from the truth that God exists. It tends to.
Yeah.
Now, am I saying that we didn't land on the moon? No, but could it be used in a spiritual realm? Because, dude, we were talking yesterday. The enemy is subtle, right?
But this is a little more than subtle.
Right,
I think that's my point. Like it's a big one.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's a big bold in your face. Like,
It is.
hey, look, every other nation, look what we. And there's a risk reward factor there too that I always think about. Like, if you had lied to the whole world, I mean, unless you had all the world leaders in it with you.
Yeah.
But how'd you do that? You're in
Sure.
a race to get to the moon first. And so then we get there, or you claim we got there, but we haven't.
Yeah.
It just feels like somebody with a big telescope would be like, hey, wait a second.
right.
You are lying to us.
Right. Yeah. So
But then again, I mean, they got us with vaccines and coronavirus.
Yeah, I
there's
mean-
that.
And so I'll just say it's certainly possible that we did that. I'm just not
yeah,
convinced?
I'm not convinced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
I'm literally with you on that. I'm not convinced.
Same.
But if you put me in a corner and said, Justin, give me an answer. Did we go to the moon or not? I'm gonna go, well, then I'm gonna have to go with, I think we did. Like,
Yeah.
I still live by the principle innocent until proven guilty.
Sure,
Like,
that's fair.
To accuse.
That's fair.
There's a whole lot of questions, but man, questions do not cause me to go, well, because I have questions, that means that whole thing is a lie. It just means I have a whole lot of questions that, how did we? And I still contend what I said about the buildings thing we were talking about the other week. I think there was a time in the nation and in the world when men took risk that now we're all a bunch of babies and we don't.
Yeah.
And so, like, I just don't see any guys like sitting on the hot steel, having their lunches or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
that's
we're just,
for sure.
Man, we
So is this OTP? What's the word I'm looking for? Conspiracy edition.
Oh, I mean, for sure. I love
Because next thing we need to talk about is 9/11
Oh man.
and whether that was an inside job or not.
Yeah, but yes. Oh man, I am not. I don't have my material, and I haven't looked at that in a long time. But
Paul has a book ready.
I'm just saying. I don't have strong opinions, on this stuff. I think all of this goes back to, what it means to know the truth. And I'm not talking about the
Yes.
Bible. I'm talking about things that happen in our world and how important it is to be right.
That's
You
why
know, if-
rewriting history doesn't work.
Right. Yes, and then if you say history is written by the victors, sure, it is. I mean, because they're the only ones left alive to do it. But big picture, like these things, the moon landing, the flat Earth garbage, 9/11,
Get stuff into
dude, I don't even care. Like that's one that okay, I'm moving on in this conversation.
Yeah.
But
And so the guy,
Gavel has been
remember,
Yeah.
remember,
I mean,
the guy on the other end of the table here
yeah,
has literally been around the world almost 100 times.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've not fallen off yet. And I've literally not found the end.
yeah.
Right.
So there's that.
You
Have you
apparently
gone north and south and east and west?
I've gone far enough north to be able to come then south. I haven't gone polar, and it's unusual.
So you've never flown
Unless
over Antarctica?
I have not.
See, I would love. I wish so bad that you'd be like, "Yeah, I've flown over it." I'm like,
Yeah.
I need you to talk to these people.
Right.
Yeah, no, I've the furthest south I've been is Sydney, Australia,
Okay.
Wow.
So all of these things,
and I literally almost went over the top of the pole.
yeah,
Going out of Anchorage over Russia.
Wow.
Coming down into Asia, a number of times.
yeah. So
That's pretty cool.
all of these fall into what truth you ascribe to? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are you spending your time, effort, and energy on? So here you go. This is one thought exercise. I'm just going to drop it, and we can talk about whatever you guys want because this is fun for me. I love it. That's where this falls in. This is fun for me. Does not affect my life at all. But this truth, like we had guys 250 years ago writing a document for the founding of our country, and they were ponderers, they were thinkers, and this is relevant. I've been studying the Constitution. I've got a whole book. It's a debate on the Constitution. So, anyways, just something like that. We're putting our time, effort, and energy into, how does this affect our world? Is this going to matter in 10 years? How often is UFOs going to come up? When is the next time we're actually going to land on the moon? Like, you got to spend your energy where it matters. And guys, I don't care about the moon. Like I couldn't care less. Like, I mean, bring me a moon rock or find me a, if anybody's seen the new movie Hail Mary, find me a companion in outer space and we'll talk. But other than that, like if you haven't seen the movie, just shameless plug. It's brand new movie. Go see it. It's amazing. Hail Mary.
Okay.
But anyways, no, it's just where you spend your energy. And my energy is so much better spent not arguing. But if you want to have fun, brother, okay.
So
I can do.
So then I want the answer. Then did we go to the moon?
Yes.
All right, Paul. So we're kind of split right here. We're like a heavier no, and I'm a yes.
I mean, if you had to put me in a corner, I'm a yes, just because.
Yeah.
Because you haven't proven that we haven't. You've only
Right.
given me questions
Right.
for what they said they did.
Yeah.
So
Here, man, kind of. I think you were maybe sort of going here, Paul, but to what I think was your ultimate point is, in the end, it doesn't matter.
for sure.
Like when I'm in
it doesn't matter.
when I'm in glory and Jesus is like, yeah, we actually did. I'll be like, oh man, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Exactly. But to be honest, I don't think that's going to come up.
You.
Yeah, I don't. Right.
Yeah, so.
Just to be fair, I don't think that's going to be a discussion we'll have. But who knows?
Yeah.
But man, that's one of those conversations where I'm like, man, thank you God for being sovereign over all the ridiculousness.
Right.
No kidding.
That we, and so I love how Paul said, my time's so much better spent. And my mind immediately was like in Scripture.
I go back. If you guys want to have fun, that's great.
Of
like,
course.
let's
Sure.
do it. Let's talk about it.
Sure,
and I love seeing the evidence. So he's cool. People that find exciting things, little nuggets hidden throughout here, there, whatever. Like that's cool. And even aliens is cool. I listened to the entire interview on Skinwalker Ranch and all kinds of stuff, which is all about UFOs.
Yeah.
So,
Walker Ranch.
dude, that's a fun interview.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I've seen that's gonna.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
So anyways,
absolutely.
let's just put a pin in that for another discussion. But that's a whole UFO discussion. So,
Walker Ranch.
dude, it sounds creepy. But anyways,
What's a skinwalker?
yeah. Oh man.
All right, so then I'm going to circle us back to the aliens.
Yeah, let's go.
And the question I have then, since we've asked moon landing,
Yep.
do you believe in the possibility of aliens?
You already got my answer.
No, absolutely not. Not the kind that you're
Little
asking
green
about.
men,
Not-
whatever.
Not
Yeah.
from
I
outer
mean,
space.
They
other
could be
planets,
green
no.
men, but they're
100%
demons.
Guys, let's be clear.
Spiritual warfare.
Will Smith punched one in the back of a pickup.
He did.
Well, he did,
There is
yeah.
that. There is
It's-
that.
And there was one in the
Real-
post office
Yeah.
underneath the thing.
Yeah,
He did.
it's
Punched
real in Hollywood. No, I don't believe in
did.
aliens at all.
Well,
Not even a little bit.
I think we're in complete unison there.
Yeah.
Like to me, it's comical at the idea of aliens, and it's more interesting that I feel like for some people they have to shrink the Earth down or shrink the galaxies down to flat Earth and say, that you're being fooled. The galaxies aren't that big. I see it the other way. I think the fact that there's this vastness of space and there's all of this amazing stuff around us, and God gave us in the first couple of chapters in the Bible and said, I gave you that for times and for seasons.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like that. So you mean to tell me we have a galactical clock?
Right.
Sure. Like
That is exactly what happened.
That's pretty amazing to me that
Yeah.
God would say, of all of this created order, I have made you. And he said, I so love the world. That's pretty important,
Yep.
So I just can't get around the idea. I mean, would it be, if you were to come to me tomorrow and be like, they found some like creature in outer space, to me, I'd be like, well, that's no different than there being a creature in the sea,
That we don't know about yet.
right. I mean, just because something lives or breathes or grows or procreates or whatever doesn't mean that it's a higher being,
Sure.
Right.
you know, than,
Right,
than
right.
what we are. So I don't think they're out there. I don't think there is a creature that is off of this planet.
Right.
But if they did come up and say there's a creature that is off this planet, I would go, well, then God created them because
Yeah.
He created everything. So,
Right.
Yeah.
like
All things. Yeah.
But I think the bigger thing is they're using it as a they in the sense of, you know, scientists and
Sure.
and atheists are trying to use it as a means to disprove God.
I'm glad you went there because that's when you brought that up. That's exactly where I was thinking. That is a distraction to take you away from God
Yeah.
created.
Yep.
Yeah. God created.
Because God did create.
Yeah.
And you know, we could sit here and give you all the reasons why. Look at the human eye. Look
Sure.
at the pictures
Yeah.
we have of the world. I mean, it's just
Let
beautiful.
us make man in our image.
Right.
Right.
And so you want me to believe in your religion that it's just by chance.
Yeah.
Like literally over millions and millions of years, things got together and here we are.
Yeah.
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 That's Mike Winger. Y'all know Mike Winger?
Oh yeah. I love Mike Winger.
I love Mike. You don't know him?
I need to get more educated. Just give me a list of guys.
By the way,
Give me the bullet points.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't.
I don't know Mike personally, but man, sort of a little, I guess, a plug. He's got a video on why Calvinism is not biblical,
Yep.
and it's fascinating.
Yeah. He
It's,
did.
it's like 2 hours long.
He would do these really long live streams where he would just do deep dives into the scriptures and say, okay, like let's just take all
Yeah.
what we understand off the table and just say, here's what the text says.
Yep.
Let's look at the Greek,
Sure,
let's look at the Hebrew,
sure,
let's
yeah.
look at whatever.
Yeah.
And he's looking at original text. And I mean, he's just really being a scholar.
Yeah, really
and saying,
intelligent.
And so he's done things like women in ministry.
Yeah.
And he's done things like, he's done all kinds of things. Anyways,
Yeah.
he just had a little post and he shared somebody else's post and it was
Yeah,
of these
yeah.
UFOs. And they were like, you know, Christians are going to have a hard time with this one or something. And it's this picture, this like blurry picture of like a black dot that kind of looks like a flying saucer. I mean,
Sure.
Yeah.
it could seriously be a fly on the screen
Yeah.
of the person that took the picture. You cannot tell what it is at all. And Mike Winger just put above it and he put, oh no, how will we ever recover?
Yeah, no kidding.
The wit.
I'm telling you, man, I've looked through those files and I'm so underwhelmed.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you have
At least it could have been something good.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
I don't lie to me a little. Like, you know, Hollywood does a better job of that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. I was looking at it. And I'm like, this is the most tabloid, stupid
Yeah.
thing I've ever
Yeah.
seen. And I don't know if that's a distraction to say like, oh, we're trying to mess with you to like, we have other files of other things.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of people that believe it. I'm in agreement with this table. I don't believe it.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of people who do. And I go, so of all the people that do and all the people that are searching for it, all y'all found is this? Like, you know,
Well, you
Right,
know,
right.
it's funny. I can remember the first time that that I saw the Starlink
oh yeah.
satellites.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
we're up at altitude, and it's probably one of the most beautiful things you can ever see in your life is when the sun is setting. And what ends up happening is it's setting behind you. We're flying eastbound. And you're moving pretty fast. You're probably doing 600 miles an hour plus or minus.
Wow.
And you're up 37,000 or 35,000 feet. I don't know. I haven't flown in a couple months because the MD-11's grounded. So kind of all that stuff sort of goes by the wayside. But so you're up at altitude, and what you see is a line of demarcation that's an arc, because the world is round and the sun is setting, and legitimately you can see this arc, and it's a gray black line. It's dark on that side and it's blue, sky blue on this side. And it's the most amazing thing. And
How
just
cool
as
is that?
just as we're doing that, all of a sudden you see this train of these things going across the sky. Now I'm moving fast. Those dudes are moving real fast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what in the world? And
Sure.
after 9/11, all the air carriers, pretty much everybody that's flying now, has to have one of their radios tuned to 121.5. That's the international emergency frequency. And that is used for, you know, if you can't get a hold of anybody, that's the one to broadcast your intentions on, and everybody hears it. That message can be relayed. So all of a sudden you hear, "Did you guys see that?" You don't have any idea where they are. I mean, my radios literally can reach 300 miles in any direction from
Wow,
wherever
wow.
I'm at that altitude. And yeah. And then there's a discussion.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's Starlink. I'm like, oh, of course that's what it is. But I didn't know.
Still, yeah.
It was just like, uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait a minute, Bill. I just wanna touch on something though. So you're telling me you were 37,000 feet,
Yeah.
and it was above you.
Oh, gosh, yes.
So
way above.
So it's not hot air balloons that are holding the satellites going around us.
No, it's
Just
not.
I was just asking the question.
No.
So real questions,
So
man.
you could actually do an internet. I caution this, but you could do a search. Those like weather balloons, hot air balloons, balloons in general that are used for weather monitoring and measuring, they can't go higher than like 70, 80,000 feet. I'm not even sure they can go that high. Matter of fact, whatever that thing that was going on during the Biden administration with the balloon coming across with the camera equipment that the Chinese knew nothing about.
Oh,
I'm sure
yeah,
we're
gosh,
just going
I
to let that
forgot
go.
about that, yeah.
You know, never
Oh, yeah.
mind, right?
Forgot about all that.
So they surveilled the entire United States over like a week, and nobody shot it down until it got in the ocean the other way.
Yeah.
And then we could claim victory. Whatever.
Man, that's
we
kooky
could spin
stuff.
off on that one too.
Oh yeah, we could.
I have a lot of material.
Yeah, yeah. So, dude, can I read something from the Bible? When we talk about aliens, I
Go.
think
I
about
wanna
this
hear it.
every time.
Yeah.
Okay. Revelation 16, 12, 13, and 14. The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east. I always think about this verse when I think about aliens. And I saw coming out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, 3 unclean spirits like frogs. Always, anytime we talk about aliens, I'm like, man, demonic spirits.
Yeah.
Like, is there an actual? Because the Bible says, and Satan can appear as an angel of light.
Yeah.
Like what? Like, stick with me. Like, could there be like a demonic influence to like distract people from the truth of God? And it's aliens, but they're really demons, right?
Sure.
Because I always just think it's interesting that John says that they're like frogs, unclean spirits like frogs. And then he says, for they are demonic spirits performing signs who go abroad to the kings of the world. So I don't know. I always think about that
That's
when
even
people
more
bring up
interesting.
aliens.
That next verse was even more interesting for their demonic spirits.
Yeah.
Performing signs.
Yeah.
Who go abroad to the kings of the whole world. That's
Yes.
kind of an interesting.
Yeah. To assemble them for battle on the great day of God, the Almighty.
Yeah.
It's wild to think about.
You
I
know,
mean,
I'm reaching here. I don't remember all this stuff, but
sure.
yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like we're all kind of in that category at this moment. But I'm having
love
fun
it.
here.
Oh,
I'm
this
having
is
fun.
great.
So when you do like the pyramid look and different things like that, and you're like, oh, this creature was on the side of the whatever, and this, and they're thousands of miles apart, but they have the same creature, they have the same markings. Okay, so there's a uniformity that happens across the world, and that's fine. People say that that's aliens, or these were built because of aliens, or whatever. And again, I'm really reaching. I don't have my facts in front of me.
Okay.
But there's a consistency to what things look like. Okay. And there's a consistency-ish to what dragons look like. There's a consistency to what unicorns look like, or whatever.
Sure.
You know, and I would pause us. Like, there's a consistency to what demons are made to look like. You know, and they got horns and glowing eyes and tails and wings and all this stuff. But even across I don't want to say fun, but like the video game genre or books or movies or whatever, like there's a consistency there. I think they probably look something like that. I think there are seeds of truth in those things. I don't know. I don't want to. I'm no expert. But I would say that there's something to that. You know, you have an entire planet and history, you know, related to, you know, to this life. You have eyewitnesses of these things, and various, you know, cultures across the globe. I think there's a commonality between all of them, and I think we could draw something like that. They might look like frogs. Maybe they mean they're green. You know, like, I don't know. But I would say that there's...
Lizard people.
What's that?
What's that?
Lizard people.
Lizard people.
Lizard
Oh,
people,
gosh.
that's right.
Get
The lizard people.
Start that one up again.
Yeah.
But really, I don't know. You know, when we ponder what they look like, you know, there's a commonality there in how we process that as humans, and I think that it's probably somewhere in the middle, you know, something like that. So back to the UFO thing, aliens, all of that. Yes, again, fully believe that there are, that they're demons. I mean, no question. I don't have a lot more to go on.
There are beings that are out there that are not on this earth necessarily, or at least not all the time.
Sure.
And we're told about them in the scriptures.
Absolutely.
Like we're literally told that there are these spiritual beings
that we cannot see
that
on a
we
regular.
can't see. And somehow they can appear to us, and they can bring messages, and they can affect even nations. I mean, you hear about when the angel was trying to get a message to Daniel,
Prince of Persia,
right, and the Prince of Persia, and he was withheld, and so there is a thing. And by the way, the Bible really tells you you're not really supposed to look into that.
Sure,
I'm great with. I'm great with joking around about aliens or whatever.
Sure,
but to be honest with you, when it comes to some of it, I go, we're really not supposed to. If the Lord wanted to tell us, He would have told us.
Sure.
He didn't. And by the way, for those who are getting confused about what Bible is really the Bible that we should be reading, the Lord didn't lose a bunch of text for us. He
protects His word.
He has preserved that
yeah.
over time.
Amen.
And it's so funny to me the things that are. What's his name? Kent Hovind talks a lot about like Book of Enoch, and he's like, y'all, that's Jewish folklore,
right?
He's like, it's Jewish folklore to made to look like scripture, you know, and that is really the truth. I have faith in God, I have faith in the Lord, and I have faith that He's preserved His word.
Amen.
And the things He's telling me are true.
Amen.
And man, I just think there's a warning to say you start pulling out what's scripture and what's not. You start pulling the pins out. You're pulling the foundation apart of underneath, because if you're going to say that there's things that have been lost, then you're going to end up saying there's things that can be added.
Sure.
And then you're and on top of that, you're going to end up saying, well, how do I know that the thing that I'm reading is actually the truth or not the truth?
Yeah.
And the evidence of the Bible being factual and true is overwhelming.
Yes.
Overwhelming.
Yes.
It's the opposite of the UFO files.
Right.
The UFO files, underwhelming.
Underwhelming indeed.
Man, go look at all of the artifacts that we have of scriptures and how far back they go, and how many of them match, and so many things. And the things where they don't match, they're still very explainable. The Bible it's a confirmed document that was written when we know that it was written. It's not faked. It's not like the Book of Mormon that you could say, oh, like this guy went out in the woods and he interpreted it with his special glasses and
Sure.
That's a very questionable origin.
Yeah.
That you can't do that with the Bible. You can't say that the origins of those texts are questionable.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So in Numbers 13, 33,
okay. Let's go.
There's one of the first references to the Nephilim.
Okay.
And it talks actually about the descendants of Anak came from the Nephilim. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them. Kind of interesting. That's the NIV version. I mean, I've got all of them here, but I just thought that, when you were talking about frogs, well, I've got a pond in the backyard. Do I have to go exterminate all the frogs? 'Cause I don't want any demons in my backyard.
Just to be safe.
Oh my gosh. I'm already not a snake fan, so
Guys, that's why Kentuckians are big on frog gigging.
Frog gigging, baby. Frog gigging.
I know the answer to this question. Have you been frog gigging?
Is that even a question?
Of course
Yes,
you have.
yes.
You guys
I've
ever
been,
been
of course.
frog gigging?
Yeah, frog gigging, yes.
Man,
I didn't even know
Does
what
anybody,
that was.
does anybody
Just
like
now.
to eat frogs?
Really? Yeah.
Does anybody like frog
So
legs?
you've never done it, Bill?
No.
Are you from Kentucky originally?
No, I'm from Wisconsin.
Oh,
Man and cheese, the home of the
There
free.
it is. That's
There's lots more demons
How
in
you doing?
Wisconsin.
He's still got his shoes on and left all the frogs in the pond. Listen, I was at an RA campout. Y'all may not even know what it is.
Royal Ambassadors,
Royal
brother. Let's go. I
Was
still
it?
have a T-shirt in my basement.
Yeah, so like it was a youth group before youth groups were a thing.
Yeah,
What do you do with the young kids in church? And they had RAs and GAs.
Yeah,
you
girls
had,
in action.
Yeah, girl. Man, you.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So
Bring it.
The guys were royal ambassadors, and they were like these common things that across the nation that churches would do with young people.
Yeah.
And they would have these like derby car things that they would make, like you'd make a little wooden car.
Yeah.
And I remember, man, I always got in so much trouble at church. I wasn't always in church, but I was like 13 and ended up going to church, and they had RAs, and so I go to this RA thing, and we had to make these derby cars, and I took a CO2 canister
Oh.
and I put it on the car, and then we had a little nail that that hit it. So when it was on the track, it would like swing down and hit it, and then
Yeah.
it would shoot off. And they were like, "You can't motorize." I'm like, "There's no motor.
There's no motor.
There's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
motor. That
Yeah.
it's jet propulsion."
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's awesome.
Yeah. So,
Thinking outside the box, bro.
man, I mean,
I
you
like
know,
that.
what-
Pinewood Derby. I think.
well,
is
there
what
was.
they do.
I think it started out with like the idea of like a balloon, like you put a balloon on
Yeah.
it, you know,
Yeah.
and the balloon would blow. and-
Sure.
And we were like, we could go better than that.
Yeah.
You know, home improvement.
CO2.
Bring in the horsepower.
I mean, I'm like, I've got a pellet gun that's got little CO2
Yeah.
containers.
Sure.
Strap one of those on it.
Dude, I love it. That's class.
Anyway, so I was at a RA camp out because they did those nationwide. You have these big RA camp outs.
Yeah,
And so we
yeah.
went to this RA camp out, and all the boys are going to go frog gigging. I didn't know what it was. All right. I'm like, I'm going to go. Yeah, sure. And so we took forks, kitchen forks, and we strapped them to sticks, and then we went out hunting for frogs.
Nice.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
like a Lord of the Flies situation.
Flashlights and forks is how we did it, man.
Well,
I had a little bit better equipment than that, but I mean,
Okay.
Did you have
actually
some
one of
professional frog gigging poles? or
absolutely. I mean, they make frog gigging poles. Okay, guys, here you go. So one of my youth group experiences, I went out with Dan Brennan. He was my youth pastor when I was a kid, and we took out a bass boat and a big high powered flashlight, and we had a trolling motor on it. And we would lay over the front of the boat and just like ease up on these frogs and just gig them. And man, we must have had 150 frogs that night. Like it was crazy.
And
is
that-
there a
equated
daily limit?
that-
I don't know.
no,
Don't
there's
ask
no-
questions. You know, this was along just past the statute of limitations, brother. Don't worry about it.
There's not a limit because by the time you got all of those frogs,
Don't ask,
and
don't tell.
got the meat, you probably had a quarter pound of meat.
If you're lucky.
Oh, dude.
Dude, those frogs are like this
Yeah,
big.
buddy.
Like they are not small.
Frog
all right?
legs are delicious.
And yeah, it was all fun and games until we had to kill 150 frogs
Right,
and like cut the
that's-
back legs off them and stuff. So I don't know if that's material for the podcast, but anyways, for anybody that wants to know, I'm no
Too late.
expert, but I've been within the past couple years. I've been frog gigging, so
Paul, you are the animal butcher, man.
hey, people got to eat, man.
Right, Paul does it. I'm
So-
like, I can't. I would be a vegetarian if I had to do it on my own. But you know, as long as they sell it in the store and I can go buy it, I'm good.
Does everybody here like frog legs?
I have eaten frog legs. I
love
say love. I don't go out of my way to like cook them all the
Sure,
time.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. It's fine. I would eat it if it was available
Yeah.
to me. I'm not gonna go hunt it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, brother, it's no
Other than-
steak.
Yeah, right, that's true. Bill, frog legs, yes or no?
Can I plead the fifth?
You've never had it.
No, you can plead. I've got to go out
I don't
and try
think
it
so.
now.
Definitely tastes
I've
like
had
chicken.
gator before.
Ooh.
I have had
I've
gator.
had gator.
As well.
You know, it's like same color, wrong meat.
Gator,
Yeah.
potato, tomato.
Did you like the gator?
Yeah, gator bites.
I think it was bites. It was deep fried.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
Pork chop.
calamari or
Yeah, yeah.
What's
whatever.
not to like about deep fried? I mean,
Oh, yeah. Deep.
You can literally deep fry
brother,
anything.
deep fry me a gym sock. Okay, let's go.
tell you.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I was very
Delicious.
disappointed. Somebody got me a whole bunch of like beef jerky that was all these different types of meat. It was like ostrich and I think one of them might have been like dolphin or something. I don't know. It was like
Wow.
shark or dolphin or something.
Yeah.
And there was gator in there.
Yeah.
And then I got to reading the packaging and it was like 8% of this
Sure.
other meat.
So
And then
you
it's-
didn't- yeah.
And then it's all these other just regular cow. I'm like
Fillers, yeah.
I'm like that's not
Pork.
Yeah, that is not pork and beef or whatever. And I was like, that is not me eating gator. That's
Right.
you know, that's me
Yeah.
having a very small percentage of gator minced up into your
Yeah.
Right.
Slim Jim. Yeah.
Yay.
Anyways, it wasn't impressive.
Hi, guys, how did we get on frog gigging? Oh, we were killing demons. That's right.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
I set that up.
oh, we were
Oh, yeah,
killing
the
demons.
frog, yeah.
But you know what, Bill? Listen, I mean, we get to take it's our podcast. We can do what we want with it. I want to touch on the Nephilim thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. All right.
I
Can
am
of
ready
worms.
for so much.
I
fun.
figured,
You've been waiting for this.
I haven't been waiting for this, but I'm always. This is one of those entertaining topics for me. This is more fun, more so than like a lot of other topics. So please open the door.
Here we
I
go.
didn't open
Let's
it.
talk
Bill
about the
opened it.
Giants. I did.
Crack
I
that
teed it
can
up.
open.
All right. First of all, let's just start out with you know, the thought that many ascribe to, and I love that those many who ascribe to it always try to say nobody teaches this, and I'm like everybody teaches that, everybody, which is that they say angels procreated, angels procreated with girls from Earth and created giant people before the flood. And that's where the Nephilim came from, and that's why
giants.
they're giants. And then there's all this folklore about, how many rows of teeth they have and, things of that nature. And now, I mean, there are some things that are biblical, but there are other things that are not biblical, and they're coming from other sources, which I'll get into in a second. But I'll just say for a moment, the idea that angels procreated with women and then created giant people, is that where the Nephilim came from? Since I'm asking yes or no questions and putting you all in the corner.
You can start down there.
What do you think, Paul?
I need to formulate an opinion.
Is that Nephilim, and is that where Nephilim came from?
I'm in that camp.
You're in that camp?
Yeah.
From Genesis forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was the purpose. Here you go. In the briefest nutshell.
No, man, I want the deep. Well,
Well, I'm ready, brother. We were talking about I was prepped to talk about the sermon. Okay.
Yeah, we were supposed to talk about Timothy and,
Yeah,
and
no,
Luis
okay,
and Eunice.
okay.
Talk about who?
but-
No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding. I'm kidding. Totally joking.
Okay. So
Were you there?
Joking.
this is my rudimentary explanation here. So the idea that Satan corrupts everything, also the corruption of DNA, right? God's plan for us, and the flood was the reset of that. I'm definitely in that camp. Okay, the great flood, right? So Noah. So the Lord came. It said Noah was a righteous man, etc. And him and his family, they were part of that. They were clean in that regard. Not. And this is all from memory, guys. I don't have my notes. I feel totally unequipped for this conversation. But
You're good,
but anyways, there was that, and after all of or most of the giants, I guess at that time, because there were records of them after the flood. Most of the giants were killed. I don't know if they could tread water really good. I don't know how I answer a lot of these questions.
Probably not for 40 days.
Probably not for 40 days and 40 nights, but they're giants, bro. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're
That's a lot of floating.
Yeah, fallen angel sons of men and God. I don't know, man. So, anyways, yeah, I'm in that camp. I do think giants are real. I do think they had 6 fingers and 6 toes, like the Bible says. I don't know about the teeth thing. There's a really interesting study, and the Ohio Valley actually has some interesting archaeological finds that support giants and crazy large people. Yep. I don't, this is all from memory. Again, I feel like I'm saying that a lot, but this is a caveat. Paul's no expert at all. This is just my off the cuff opinion. So, anyways, yes, I would say they did. Angels, procreated with human women, and they were here before and increasingly evil, as the Bible says, talking about Noah. I think that's probably why. And there, somebody else take over from there.
Why God did that's what Control Alt Delete.
Yeah. I mean, I am in that camp.
All right.
Would I fall on that sword, guys? This is a fun topic for me. This is not a,
sure.
Yeah. Okay, go. With that in mind, somebody help me out.
I mean, go ahead. You brought up the Nephilim thing.
Well, no, so I've read about it.
You brought up numbers, Bill.
I did.
You brought up numbers.
I did.
We'll do numerology next.
So, okay. I'm learning. Okay. So I actually.
So what you've learned though, what are your thoughts? Where do you fall?
A lot along. Well, so from what I understand of it, I think exactly that angels came down, procreated with people on earth, giants, and
sons of Anak, and
but again, that's I want to qualify this with I want to study it better. I need to know more about how that all relates to all the different pieces that happened around it. I think that's part of this tug of war between good and evil, and I just don't have a really good answer. Except I kind of believe that did happen. If it's in the Bible, I believe the Bible's real. I believe I believe the cover of the Bible. I believe everything about the Bible. And so, it's just me understanding by getting into it and reading it. That's my part of there's something for me to learn from this for sure.
I used to have I have a Monday night Bible study, but this is the one that I used to have a long time ago. Matter of fact, your daughter used to come to with her husband. And at one point, Nephilim came up. And so I was like, all right, we're ditching the whole thing I wrote. We're going to talk about Nephilim. And so there's this video. I'll send it to you guys. And I cannot remember his name. It was before I went to seminary, but he's not there anymore. But it was a professor at seminary talking all about the Nephilim, and it's really good. It's about a 30-minute long video. And so I don't remember it all, but I just remember there's a lot of wisdom there. And man, saying that to say you don't have to agree with every single thing that he says in the video, but he points out a couple things. So everything that we're talking about really comes from Genesis chapter 6. In Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 says, "When man began to multiply on the face of the land, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of man were attractive, and they took as their wives any they choose." So the question is, are the sons of God like demonic spirits? That's kind of the thing, because the other argument is, no, that's referring to the lineage of Seth, which is what, those are kind of the big two things, like who are the sons of God? So that's the first thing. So that's assuming that sons of God is fallen angels. And then the Lord said, "My spirit shall not abide in man forever, for he is flesh. His days shall be 120 years. Then verse 4, "The Nephilim were on the earth in those days. And also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them, these were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown." So that's where people are getting at. So the big question is, okay, who are the sons of God?
So
Right.
it suggests fallen angels, right?
Some would say that.
Okay.
Others would say that it is referring to the lineage of Seth.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But Kirk, I'm gonna be a jerk here.
Sure.
These are yes or no questions.
Yeah. I know.
Oh, did you see me beat around the bush? I
Dude.
mean, I literally had that bush dead when
And-
I was done with my
All good.
answer.
I'm with you.
This is,
Y'all, I'm gonna dive in this bush in a minute.
I will tell you, dude, and I'm excited
see
for that.
That cat that swallowed the mouse.
Oh yeah, I see
With
the wheels
tail.
turning.
Oh, dude.
I know Justin well.
We were getting teed up there for something.
No. Well, for one, I want to say this, dude, really, really good conversation. And man, like, hear my heart when I say this. There are very well-educated dudes that think one, and well-educated dudes that think the other. So, so I will say this, like, it's certainly nothing that we like have to like die on. Like, I don't think these are like
Yeah, it's
salvation.
not a hill I'm gonna die on right now.
But I love that we're discussing it. And I wish that I had all of the references in this one particular video memorized. I can't remember them all. One comes from Job. It makes reference, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Chapters 1 and 2.
Yeah, another one comes from reference in the New Testament to the sons of men, like failing, and their is it Peter?
Well, yeah, to some degree. I mean, there's a portion of Peter that talks about.
I'm totally going off memory, so I could be swinging and missing here. I'm with Paul. I was not
what's the whole
prepared
thing
to talk about
that you're getting at?
But yeah. So in the end, in this particular professor's video, he gives all the different. He gives the arguments for both.
Mm-hmm.
He gives the arguments for that it's fallen angels, and then arguments that it's lineage of Seth.
Mm-hmm.
And his opinion is, he actually says, I believe the correct is that it's the lineage of Seth. That's what this guy in this video that I'm making reference to says. Now, so Paul said, these are yes or no questions, Kirk. I will tell you, when I've watched the video, I want to watch it again because it's been a few years. I have swayed both directions.
Really?
Because his arguments for both are pretty good. Mm-hmm. But where I am right here sitting in front of you, I want to watch it again. So I don't know. But yeah, anyways. So there's where I go.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Here we go, brother. Let's go.
I'm gonna take you down the trail for a second.
Was I right though? Is one of them in Peter? I can't remember.
Yes.
I know there's Job.
It's in 2 Peter.
Yeah.
And what did you look it up?
Not that one. Mine is something else. I've got your argument down next and have my response to that. Okay, good.
All right.
So yes or no? Where you at?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, you.
Absolutely not.
Okay,
It's
okay.
it's as easy as answering the alien question. And so let's start out with the first thing of where my argument of it came from to begin with. So why would I argue with it? Why does it matter that I would argue with it? Because to be honest with you, I grew up hearing, through stories, through my mom or whatever, that angels came down and they were fallen angels, that they came down, that they, procreated with women and had babies, and they became, and because they were this, half angel, half spirit being,
Right.
and then half, half human, that they became these giant creatures. And so that's just what I was raised with.
Yeah.
And the question really came for me when I began to study the Bible all the way through for myself. And when I do that, and I've done it now, I mean, I've read and studied through the entire Bible on, multiple occasions. I've read the whole Bible probably, I don't know, a dozen times, 24 times, something like that, and spent time to like study it, to say, okay, I'm going to slow down a little bit and study it. I did that all through school. I did that for 9 years and probably went through it 2 times in study fashion. And every time I do that, I always want to just say, okay, what does the text actually say as in comparison to what I've always heard?
Sorry.
And so one of the first things that I would point out, that where the question came from, is actually in Genesis chapter 8. Okay, so you have the flood, you have Genesis 1 and 2, the earth is created. Genesis 3, you've got the fall of man. Genesis 4, you've got the story of Cain and Abel. Genesis 5 is lineage. And then by the time you get to Genesis chapter 6, God's ready to flood the earth.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you think of it, if I simplify it down like that, you go, man, feels to us like a quick
Very
transition.
short period of time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's something that's pretty amazing in the Bible, which is this. There is more time that elapsed, more years that have elapsed between Genesis 1 and Genesis 11
Right.
than between Genesis 12 and today.
Yeah.
Really?
Isn't that wild to think about?
More
Yeah.
time elapsed between Genesis 1 and Genesis 11 than has elapsed between Genesis 12 and today.
That's wild. I was talking to somebody about that recently. I think it was Sammy.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild.
It's a pretty amazing thing to think when you start looking at those generations, but it just went so quick. When I studied through Genesis, when I took the church through that, I said that it starts out with like a telescope, and then the Bible starts out with like a telescope, a big broad view. And then as you're working your way through Genesis, that broad view becomes more narrow, and you go from a telescope to a microscope. And then all of a sudden we're honing in on a group of people, and then we're honing in on a few people from that group of people, and then we're honing in on the Savior. I mean, that's the whole thing.
Right.
You're going from this big creation to this one person who's going to save that creation.
Yeah.
And that's the person of Christ. And so, anyways, in studying through that with that in mind, that's a whole lot of time that's elapsing, you run into Genesis chapter 8. And in Genesis chapter 8, I got to find the reference. I had it, and then I looked at some other stuff.
Like where it talks about like it's only Noah and his family that survived.
Yeah.
Is that the
Well,
part?
it's
Yeah.
not just that. I mean, it's what it actually says. When he says, oh, hold on, y'all. I'm so sorry. I had it and then I lost it. I got to read for just a second.
Yeah, this is
Or maybe it's 7. I'm saying 8, but maybe it's in 7. Increased on the earth. Oh, there we go. It's in chapter 7. I'm sorry, I said chapter 8. In chapter 7 and verse 21, and all flesh died that moved on the earth. Birds, cattle, beasts, every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, and every man, all in whose nostril was the breath of the spirit of life, and all that was on the dry land died. And I read that and I went, wait a second. The Nephilim showed up in Genesis 6.
right.
The giants showed up in Genesis 6.
Right.
So how did the Nephilim, how did the giants survive when God clearly says everything that's drawing breath died? And actually a whole lot of things that were in the water died too, because you mix the salt water and the fresh water. And so you had a lot of the animals in the sea died as well. But that's a Ken Ham thing. I don't want to get into that. I'm just saying of the Nephilim, how did these land dwelling people that have breath in their lungs, how did they survive the flood when God very specifically says all flesh died? And so that started the question for me of, okay, wait a second. So what just happened here, that if they died in chapter 7, how then when we get to, say, the book of Numbers, are they there again?
Right.
And so then I went through scenarios in my head and I went, okay, well, who's to say that these angels that came down to earth didn't do that a second time? Maybe they did it before the flood and then they did it after the flood. But of course, the reference that's always given of how come they haven't done that is because you go over to, like, I think Jude, and there's the whole, like, there's these angels that left their abode and the Lord, they've been, put into the abyss. And so they're, waiting there in the abyss. And I go, well, then, okay, then if that's the case, then those angels that became fallen angels that came to the earth are now in the abyss. So then they didn't survive the flood. And they're in the abyss waiting for their waiting for their judgment to one day come. Anyways, my point being that I was like, so it couldn't be a second time. If angels could fall at any point, maybe the question is, did angels all fall at once, or maybe is there a thing of angels falling other times? And I go, okay, well, if that's the case then, and if it worked so well that Satan, who is our enemy, if it worked so well, how come Satan didn't do it again? Like, why aren't angels right now procreating with women, stirring up the bloodline, messing everything up so God will just flood the earth again and destroy everything? And so, if it worked so well the first time that we had these giant people who were able to do these supernatural things, why not do it again? And again, these are the questions that led me to go, okay, wait a second. Let me back up a minute. And so let me give you the argument for just a moment. And Paul, do you want to chime in? Because I know you said you had.
No.
And I want the pushback, by the way. Just so y'all know, like, I love it. It make me think.
Okay. Before we go on, I'm going to leave you with one sentence, and that is, yes, they did it a second time.
You think they did it a second time?
Yeah.
Okay. After the flood.
After the flood.
Okay. So let me give you some thoughts here, and I know Paul's heard this before because I've had this conversation.
I know, it's good. I love having this
occasions.
conversation.
And so, but Bill, for you especially, because you're saying like, hey, I want to know.
I do.
So here would be a thing that I would give you. Look at Genesis chapter 5.
Okay.
So remember, Genesis 1 and 2, creation of the world. Genesis 3, fall of man. Genesis 4, Cain and Abel. Genesis 5 is genealogy.
Yep.
All right, so in that genealogy, it's an interesting thing to read. I'll just read a few of them. I'll start in verse 4. After he begat Seth, the days of Adam were 880 years, and he had sons and daughters. And so all the days of Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. And then in verse 6, Seth lived 105 years and begot Enosh. Do you see what I'm saying? Seth begot Enosh. There's a word there that's being used. After he begot Enosh, Seth lived, and so on. Like you did in verse 9, Enosh lived 90 years, and he begot Canaan, and so on and so forth. This person begot this person begot this person. There's language there that says if two people are together, or this person we're talking about their lineage, that this person begot, they birthed.
Right.
They brought this other person into the world. Okay, so then go into Genesis chapter 6. And when you see that there's in Genesis chapter 6, you go into, and remember chapter 5 was all that genealogy, right? We've just seen genealogy with this type of language. And you get in chapter 6, and you get in verse 3, and it says, then the Lord said, my spirit will not strive with man forever.
Yep.
For he indeed is yet flesh, or he's flesh, and his days will be 120 years. And listen to this. There were giants. Your version, Kirk said Nephilim. That's the Hebrew word there, Nephilim, but it's giants. There were giants on the earth in those days and afterward. And when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, they bore children to them. Now, Bill, I'm asking you, how come it doesn't say they bore giants to them?
Or begot.
How come it doesn't say begot? It says they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men, not Nephilim, not giants. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown.
Yeah.
And so my point is that you do not see that the sons of God came into the daughters of men and begot giants.
Right.
It's not what it says. If I read it correctly, I see that as a reference of time.
Okay.
There were giants in the land in those days. And he also tells us they're also there afterward.
And afterwards, yeah.
And so I think that there's a case to be made to say that you can have people who are breeding, who are procreating, and those people can create people who are bigger or smaller.
Sure.
And so, there was some sort, I'm in no way disagreeing that there were giants in the land. There were giants in the land because it says that.
Sure.
I just don't think that any of those giants survived the flood.
So I'll ask the dumb question.
Yeah.
If they had children,
Yeah.
I know some basketball players that are 7 feet, 8 feet tall. They
Sure.
didn't come out 7 or 8 feet tall.
Right.
They grew into it.
Yeah, for
So is
Remember
that
Goliath?
Yeah. So is that the reference that, these giants were there, that they were just instantly giants when they were born, or,
Oh, I think that if you think of it as like angels and and women, then even still, you're going to still have to have like babies, you know,
Right.
that are going to grow into
What's
that
the Hebrew there with bore children? What's that phraseology look like?
versus.
Yeah.
So
And
just
they
the word bore there.
yeah, they bore.
6 and 4.
You say that. Yoldu.
You'll do, sure.
Yeah.
But what's it indicating? I mean,
Third
give
person,
birth, begot, born.
Yeah, give birth, begot, born.
I think it's interesting. Is it the same Hebrew as begot? I don't.
Probably so, but it doesn't say. But what I'm saying is, it says that they bore children to them. It
Right.
doesn't say it. What I'm saying is that the giants were on the land in those days when the sons of God came into the daughters of men. It's a reference of time. When the sons of God came
Yeah.
into the daughters of men, there were giants in the land. Notice the giants were already there when this was happening.
Yeah.
You're saying Nephilim is not directly linked to
To
right.
the begottting.
Right.
But I would this goes back to my summation of culture, right? All over the world, there were the 6-fingered men, which we've noted are the sons of Anak that David killed, Goliath and others, and Og or whatever his name was. Like they were known to be extraordinarily violent, and they inhabited the land of Canaan. Right? So God sent his people in again to clear out all of the giants who were evil, who were warring people.
So there's actually a little bit, you're a little skewed there, just a little though. Because I would have to look it up. And if you gave me a few minutes and y'all would talk, I'll look it up for you and show you. But I have this on the whole truth when I went through that. It's very interesting because I was raised with that as well.
Yep.
That when there were giants in Canaan, and that the people were too scared of the giants, and like what Bill referenced, because they were the sons of Anak. But if you actually read that, Bill, what you were reading there out of Numbers, it's that the sons of Anak were there. But if you read it, when they go back and they're giving their report of why they can't go in the land, it's not only giants. They said the land is full of people. And they were like, they were like, and the sons of Anak were there. So there's a whole bunch of people that are living there. It's like what they're fearful of is to say like it's a full country. It's not like we're going into uninhabited land. There's this full country that's
Well,
there.
I mean, I don't think it's a population thing. It's like, hey, there's already people there. Like God told them, go in and kill them, root and branch, all of them.
Yes, right, exactly. And what I'm saying is it's not that there were only giants in the land of Canaan.
Yeah.
The Philistines had giants among them.
Yes.
The sons of Anak were giants among them, and back then they used them as trophy soldiers.
Yeah.
Obviously, you
Yeah,
had
I totally agree with that. But I would say, like, just going on God's character, God, there's a lot of people in that land. Let's kill them so my chosen people can get in there. No. I think they were over the top evil, and I'm paraphrasing. And that's why God had them exterminated. And that's a good word,
yeah,
because
for sure.
God did that. He said, go in and kill them. And when they didn't, God punished his people.
Yeah.
You were now saddled with slaves, and they were, anyways, right. And they became nations that, that hindered or were a burden to Israel, to this day, right? Because they didn't. I am also paraphrasing. This is, okay. So, but just every reference that I can think of in regards to giants, Nephilim, or whatever, is that they were exceedingly evil, which tracks with they were from the enemy. They were to oppose God's people. They were to oppose his plan. Why wouldn't God use a flood and then later his people, the nation of Israel, to exterminate that problem? So your question of why didn't they do it again? Why didn't Satan try to do it again? I think he did. And I think God used another means to exterminate them.
Well, I think that I have one thing to say to that, but Bill, it seemed like you had something. I don't want to cut
No.
Okay,
He's having a ball over there.
I am. I'm actually enjoying this.
Yeah.
Because it's actually proves a really important point about cherry picking stuff out of, I did a general search. It threw it up there, and I'm like, oh, numbers. And I read it to you, and I didn't
it started
realize
an
what
avalanche
I
of-
was going to do. But, it's, again, it's understanding everything that's around it. That's why, what did it taste like? What was this? What were they wearing? What were they eating? What all those things that are so important during that time, because their perspective in Hebrew and Aramaic and Greek matters.
Yeah.
Which is why, we have the ability to see all those things.
there
3
it
of them, I have no idea what it is, but one of them I can read and I can go, oh, I see what that is. I don't know what that means, but I see what it is. Yeah.
So Justin stole the words out of my mouth earlier. You're right. In Jude chapter 6, and you crushed it. Angels who did not keep their own domain, but abandoned their proper dwelling place. So your question to me was, do angels actually breed with humans? And this, so with the understanding that angels are a supernatural being, right? It would be very hard for them to interact with men. I think you've even told me before that angels don't really have, I don't want to say they don't really have sexes, because there's like, this is an archangel, he's a warrior, like Michael, and the Bible talks
You never
about
see a female angel.
there you go. So, but would track with the angels are male and the daughters of men. That way you don't have, you don't have males on earth breeding with female angels or whatever. Like, sure, it's a one directional thing. So, and this is, I am cherry picking, but again, in verse 6, it says they didn't keep their own domain. I agree. Their domain is spiritual, but we don't see them, right? Back to the UFO discussion. I totally believe that's what all of that is. But if they don't keep their proper domain, they're not part of God's plan. Therefore, he cast them out, fallen angels, all those things. And now they're here and they have an opportunity to do that. Your question to me is, why don't they still do that?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that they don't, but I don't have an answer for that. And I don't have any evidence for that either. I'm just saying that in a vacuum, I'm not sure that they don't.
Well, but interestingly, the argument from others, not from you particularly, but the argument from others that I've heard is, oh, well, now the Nephilim are still here, and the men of old, the men of renown, are the super wealthy and the super rich, and that's why you've got things like what's been coming out with Jeffrey Epstein, because they're doing all these evil practices or whatever. And listen, do I think that you've got some evil, crazy practices among the super wealthy in the world? Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
100%.
No question
Yep.
asked. Is that the Nephilim from Genesis chapter 6? In my mind, there's like big X, no way.
Right.
That cannot be the same people.
I would
Okay.
agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Genesis 6 has to be a group of people that died. And so then you come into, say, Numbers, and you go, where'd they come from? And Paul, I can totally get down with what you're saying. Like, you're saying that it did happen again.
Yes.
And I'm not challenging that to say, I mean, again, like we said in the beginning, this isn't a fall on my sword. This isn't a salvation thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I do love the conversation, though.
Me too.
I do too.
So much. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So I did want to read real quick the whole thing of you were talking about Jude. What verse was that?
That was 6 and 7, verse 6, Jude
All right.
6.
Yeah, Jude
And
6.
then it goes into 7.
Hey, Jude.
Yeah, so he says, so we read here, look, but I want to remind you that that you once knew this, that the Lord, having saved his people out of the land of Egypt, and afterward destroyed those who did not believe, and the angels who did not keep their proper domain, but left their abode, he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness and judgment of that great day. I'm going to put a period right there for a second and just stop. But he also does the same thing with Sodom and Gomorrah, the cities that are similar in a similar manner. These, having given themselves over to sexual immorality and gone astray, gone after strange flesh, homosexuality is what he's talking about.
I would homosexuality. I would say, and I'm in the NASB, so forgive me. But since they, in the same way as these angels, indulged in sexual perversion and went after strange flesh, so it could be homosexuality.
You're saying
Yeah.
that you're in the NASB. It says what? Read it again.
It says that since they are in the same way as these angels, indulged in sexual perversion and went after strange flesh, are exhibited as an example in undergoing the punishment of eternal fire.
So that's I love that it read that. I've never read that.
This is in italics, and I will have to revisit why it's like that. So
Yeah, usually in italics means that would
that
be,
was like put in there or
that's,
something like
yeah,
that.
that's like
Okay.
that's not in the original text, but that's
Yeah.
like a interpreter. That's like an interpretation.
Yeah.
Now,
Let me dive.
You know
into that.
what's
Go ahead,
wild
Go ahead.
is if you take a look at the Greek, having indulged in sexual immorality is one word in Greek.
Right.
That's why it's kind of
and
wild.
what's the Greek word?
I'm not going to be able to pronounce that. And look at the words
right.
on the
Yeah.
inside.
Hey, Kirk, get that.
Pornosesai? I don't know.
What do you say with the EK? I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Well, anyways,
Usually they'll have a pronunciation.
Yeah. So what I
It's
was
up
going
on
to
the
point out, yours is an interesting thing. I would love to look why those italics are there.
Same.
In
One
that,
occurrence.
But but what I was going to point out was to say, look at what the Lord's actually saying in the context of what he's saying. He's saying, I'm reminding you that, look, there were those people that were saved out of Egypt, but afterwards there were those who didn't believe and they were destroyed.
Yeah.
Then there's angels that are in heaven. They left their abode, the fallen angels. They're now reserved for everlasting chains and darkness and judgment. Mm-hmm. You have Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities that were around them, similar manner. They were giving themselves over to sexual immorality and strange flesh. And look, they were set forth as an example of suffering. The whole point that he's saying is you don't get to be spared from the judgment. You know, like God's not going to say, especially to like the Jewish people, you know, that's what Jude's talking about. You know, you don't get to be like, oh, well, because we're Jewish, the Lord's going to spare us. He's not going to spare you just because you're Jewish. Mm-hmm. We can take a whole bunch of lessons from that. But my point would be, now yours may actually say the otherwise, to say like these angels who participated in sexual immorality.
Yeah.
But when I'm reading it in this way, I go, the point's not necessarily the sexual immorality. It's that there's judgment that is coming, and it doesn't matter who you are, whether that's people who the Lord delivered out of Egypt or if that's angels that were in heaven beside him. Doesn't matter who it is. You're still going to face the judgment.
Yeah.
And so,
what is the INT version?
INT?
Yeah.
And the only reason why I say that is because, you know, looking at this, it's actually kind of cool. It says NAS, indulged in gross immortality. King James Version, giving themselves over to fornication. INT, having indulged in sexual immortality. Or immorality. Yeah. Sorry. No, immortality is the other one. It's living forever.
Yeah. So I'll go back to something Paul touched on. You're touching on because you've heard me say this before. But one of the arguments that I have, so now I have this like Genesis 7 question. Mm-hmm. They all flesh died, and then I go back to Genesis 5 and I go, well, there's a word begot, and it says they begot this guy and they begot this guy, but it doesn't say they begot giants. It says they begot children.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And what it's actually saying is when there were giants in the land, the sons of God mingled with the daughters of men. And so then it goes, okay, so are the sons of God, this is what's in my brain, are the sons of God angels? And here's the thing that I would give you. This again, one guy, this is me. Yeah. I'm saying that I look at that and go, you cannot find that sort of cross-breeding anywhere in nature at all. So cats can mingle with cats, and they can make bigger cats and smaller cats. They can make colored cats. They can make all kinds of them. But you can't mix a cat with a dog and get cat dog. You will never get cat dog. You can mix a zebra and a horse. You can mix a donkey and a horse and get a whatever.
A mule.
Mule, all that stuff.
You know, but you can't mix a horse and an elephant. You know what you get if you mix an elephant and a rhino? Elefino. Anyways,
here all week, folks.
Don't forget to tip your waiters.
That's right. Okay, but
try to feel it's great.
I didn't ever think that joke would come out.
It did,
but it did.
That just happened.
That just slipped in there.
Awesome. I love it.
But my point being this: so it would be the only instance that we would know that something in nature. And somebody said to me once, they said, "Yeah, but angels are supernatural." That's right, but I'm not supernatural.
Right.
Okay. And so the ladies that I know in my life are not supernatural. We are natural. And so we do not have the ability, even if a human being commits bestiality, you cannot have a human crossbreed with an animal. It won't work. And so angels, I don't believe that angels can do that. I would also give you that if you look at the shape of angels, yes, there are times that angels are seen that look like men, you know, like when they visited Mary or something of that nature. But you also see angels that they've got 6 wings and they've got, covered in eyes and, they have these particular tasks that they're supposed to do. And, some of them, Ezekiel describes them looking like a wheel, I mean, there's a creativity to the Lord and to what he's created that I go, is it even possible? This again in my brain as I'm questioning these things. Is it even possible for angels to have sexual relations with women?
I mean, if they look like men, I think, is it possible? That's it. Yes, it's possible.
I think that
possible. I'm not probable. I don't know, but possible. Yes.
I think that the possibility that there are some angels that look like men, but then my question would be, okay, so if you have an angel that looks like a man, how come the child has to come out as a giant with 6 fingers and 6 toes? And that's the only.
It would be a mutation.
Yeah. That's the only.
That's quite a mutation.
Yeah. Well, but it's a mutation
that far.
But it's a mutation that deviates from
God's plan.
Well, but it deviates from what the angels look like when they come and they visit the women.
Right. I mean, if you do genetic mutations don't look like either. I mean, they have characteristics of both of the originals. Like there is such thing as mutations. Like,
for sure.
in
100%.
nature.
Yeah.
But mutations always make things handicapped.
Is that a? Yeah, I'm trying to think if that's.
We would love X-Men. That would be cool.
Yeah.
But we don't see that.
Yeah.
Anytime we see that there's mutations, that always leads to handicap, not to. Now, some of that, I mean, you could argue things like somebody who's like a savant or something like that. But even those things come with, usually other sorts of handicaps that then, it's like the human body or the human brain is kind of, what am I trying to say? They're like taking over, like, somebody who goes blind will say that their other senses
that take over for
heightened,
Yeah,
as they lost one
their
thing.
hearing becomes incredible.
Right. Yeah. They get some other thing.
Here's something that I keep sort of trying to figure out how to explain, and so I'm listening, but I'm also researching a little bit. Is and I think you talked about it a little bit, but the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward.
Yes.
And so the
Giants.
Right, and Nephilim not necessarily being like a race, but just like giants.
Right.
Because also there's like the Anakim, which are giants, and that's numbers.
Okay. Yep.
But
yes.
But it says Nephilim. If you think of Nephilim as that is the word for giants, and so because another descendants of Anak would be like Anakim.
So my interpretation would say this. It would be like me saying that.
So just so I don't forget, so the what's the before and after, and so there is a common thought that's like before the flood, after the flood.
Oh, I totally think so.
Right. And so, but you're saying those specific Nephilim had to have died in the flood,
I'm saying,
and then the ones that were after.
And I'm saying that their creation as Nephilim has nothing to do with the sons of God visiting the daughters of women. Because that's a reference of time. It would be like me saying we started Off the Pulpit podcast when Trump was in office.
Yes.
Trump didn't start this podcast. We were just saying we did it when he was in office. That's the way it reads in Genesis. There were giants in the land in those days and afterwards when the sons of God came to the daughters of men and they had and bore them children.
Right.
And so you are left with the question of, well, then who are the sons of God? And I do fall into the camp of, I believe it's the line of Seth. If you go back to Genesis chapter 4, you have Cain kills Abel. Cain he's not punished by death. He's told that he has to leave.
Yeah.
He's worried about other people that are going to kill him. So obviously he's got other siblings that have children, and the earth is being populated by that point.
Yeah.
And he's worried about those people that are gonna harm him. And but Cain leaves, and then the Lord gives Adam and Eve Seth as a replacement for Abel, who was killed. And then what's an interesting part of that read is, and then men began to call on the name of the Lord. And so I would say to you that you had kind of two groups of people, but one of them was shrinking. And that was men who were calling on the name of the Lord, men like Enoch, who walked with the Lord and then was not. Remember, we talked about that the other day.
Right.
And so you had men who were walking with the Lord, who were calling on the name of the Lord, but then you had people like Cain, because you get this guy, you get Tubal Cain. He shows up in Genesis 5, and he kills somebody, and he's like, if the Lord marked Cain so that you'd be cursed, you'll 7 times that if you touch me, or whatever. And so he's like boasting in the thing that Cain had done.
Yeah.
And then you see that the earth is violent and filled with violence, and their thoughts are on evil continually. And so the Lord takes out the earth. I don't think that the Lord took out the earth because the giants were taking over. I think he took out the earth for what he said, because the violence was taking over, and the giants were a part of that. And what I'm saying is that obviously, according to what I'm saying in my view, men can breed with women. Regular natural men can breed with regular natural women, and then that breeding can continue to happen. You had plenty enough years for that type of natural evolution, real evolution, not the scientific,
not the fake one.
Yeah, not the nonsense. That evolution went on, and that you had people who were evolving in one way or another, just like you have midgets on one side, you have giants on the other side.
Why don't you have giants today?
Well, you do have some.
Not like that.
You mean not that you don't have people? I mean, because how tall was Goliath?
I don't know, 9 feet.
Like
that's what I remember.
Yeah, like a little under.
That's a big dude.
Little under 9 feet.
Yeah.
But do you have people on the earth today that are close to 8 foot or above 8 foot?
Yeah, 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't.
It's
know
interesting though.
that
The ones that
qualifies. Those are genetic mutations. Now here you go. This is a thought exercise. I think we have been degrading since Adam and Eve.
Yeah,
like
totally
less than
agree.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So just because we have more technology now, I would venture to say that there was a different and more, I call it brain power, back in those days. Hence pyramids and crazy other things. But
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I would argue the firmament
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
over
Yeah. Oh, like protected.
created a hyperbolic chamber
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
thing that allowed us to run further,
Yeah.
Yeah, do all
live
those things.
longer,
Yeah.
all that stuff. And
Yeah.
So with that degradation, I could fall into, we've still got really tall people today, but nothing even close to like what Goliath was.
Yeah.
And that would be my own counter argument to my point is where giants today. I mean, I think we've just degraded as a huge species,
Sure.
But talk to me about the mighty men of renown.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's another interesting.
Because there were some of those in David's camp. Are those the same men of
Yeah.
renown, mighty men?
Yeah, exactly. I think what you're dealing with, you had men. Imagine with me. So, all right, here's you've used the word. I don't know if this is like mirror neurons. Like you say thought exercise, and then I'm about to say it. But here's a thought exercise.
Yeah, no, it's good. I like it.
So, I had this thought. My wife passed away, and she passed away young. She was mid-30s when she passed, and my whole life kind of got started over. And somewhere inside of there, I was talking with Kelly one day, and I said, what's really interesting is I would love to say if I could go back to my 18-year-old self and tell my 18-year-old self all the wisdom that I have now and say,
wouldn't that be something?
right? Well, here's the thing, though. My life kind of started over, and I'm like, well, I mean, that part of my life, my
Yep.
adult life kind of started over, and I'm like, well, why don't I just tell myself now all the stuff that I know? And the life that I now live with Kelly,
Yeah.
I what I'm saying is I can move forward with a new wisdom that I didn't have from 18 to 40, but now from 40 until, if I make it to say 80, okay, well, I mean, even at that, if I go from 40 to 60, that's as much time as I had from 18 until 40, right? And so my point being that all the things that I accomplished in my adult life with my first wife, and I learned all of this, and now I'm getting the chance to like redo it
All over
but with new knowledge,
Yes.
right? So I'm saying that of 40, 18 to 40 and 40 to 60. Imagine if what we were reading in the scriptures is true, which I believe that it is. These men were living hundreds of years. So as you have a guy
Correct,
that's 150, he has done what I just described 6 times over.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so because of that, he's lived his life as a child, and then he was an adult, and then he's learned about investing, he's learned about commodities, he's learned about building. So you have mighty men of old, you have these men of renown. These are older men in their hundreds who have knowledge and wealth and things that you and I haven't had the opportunity
Right.
to make or aspire to, because they just haven't done it enough. Sometimes when people talk about wanting to preach, and they'll talk to me and they'll be like, I don't know if I could ever speak like you. And I'm like, well, just consider I've preached like 2,000 sermons in the last.
I have a little experience.
Like there's a few times that I've done that, and so it's not. Don't compare your day 1 to my day 4,000.
Right.
For sure.
And so in the same way, I think that's what the mighty men of old are, and I think that's why they were men of renown. They were living hundreds of years, which we were told that.
Yeah.
And so there's giants in the land, and there's really old people in the land. That would be another thing too. Like I don't ascribe all of their ages to angels having to sleep with women for them to get that old. Both Adam was old and Enoch was old, and those guys walked with the Lord, and they weren't corrupt bloodlines, and yet they were able to live ages that we're not able to live. And I think the same thing with the giants. They're able to grow to sizes that we don't see today necessarily, but I don't think that negates that they were there. And how long did it take for them to come to that place and genetically come to that place? What I was saying earlier was I think they had the time from Genesis 1 to Genesis 6 when the Lord's going to flood the earth. I think there was enough time for them to have created a race of people that were giants in the land. Now, why aren't they here today? Like in droves, why don't you have so many giant people? I don't know that I have all the answers to that.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I still would say that's not convincing enough for me to think that angels slept with women and had children and they became giants.
So, some believe we still do, and they're being kept secret.
That's actually very true.
That's a thing.
Oh man, I was sent a video.
Yeah, me too.
And now the thing that's being sent to me,
like the government has them.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's supposedly this guy that was in some Middle Eastern country living in caves, and they went in and they've tried to kill him, and he's like swatted down helicopters.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
I mean, the fanciful stories are
Sure.
abounding. But interestingly enough, what's being proposed to me right now is that Nephilim are still here, that they're the men of old, men of renown, and so you have people like what's being named to me is like Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk. Like these are the Nephilim of today, and they're really from they're really 200 years old, and they've got all this old money. Where do you think they got their money from? And I'm like, I don't know. I think we do have some trail of like where Bill Gates got his money. Like his dad was really rich, and I mean you can find some of that. I don't know. It just, to me, it feels very fanciful to say we went from like giant people to now they're not giant in physical stature, but they're giant in their reach and their ability,
presence.
yeah, and their presence or whatever. And so I just go, I don't know. I don't ascribe to that necessarily. And also in the Revelation, we don't see anything about Nephilim in the book of Revelation. Like they're not present. They're not there. So that feels like an interesting thing too. If that was
That is interesting.
thing.
I just think that they're not mentioned. It's not that they're not there, but
Yeah.
But do you
Apparently, they weren't significant enough to mention.
and that's fair. I mean,
yeah,
I mean, I'm just saying they're not there,
right.
but they're just not mentioned.
Remember in we preached on Judges a little over a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
And man, it's been a while, but remember that there's one land where they get freaked out because there's giants there.
Oh yeah,
And so they don't want to do it. They
Yep.
don't want to do what God calls them to do.
right.
But
Well-
yeah, we see giants through Scripture for sure.
Well, what about this then? What about the piece where my original statement was that that there was a Satan is the architect of this, and there is a genetic mutation. And I mean, why else would God reset a man's years? Like, hey, they were living 900 years, and then after the flood, man's years will be 120 years. What about that facet?
Help me understand the question just a little bit, because I only want to be fair to what I'm answering, and that is so.
So my supposition being that, again, still that there was this crossbreeding, angels and human women, and they bore children. Okay, so that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm asking, is there any merit in your mind that there was a if we are made in the image of God and go all the way down to DNA, wouldn't it be just like the enemy to try and mutate that?
Yeah, I think that
Like
there's
the thing that makes us.
yeah, for sure.
That's one common argument.
I'm stealing it from someone else.
Well, but to be clear, like to take that argument to its furthest degree, what those proponents of that would say is that Satan was messing with the bloodline so that those people would be evil, would be bad. And basically that's saying that like they couldn't be good, they couldn't be saved, they couldn't call upon the name of the Lord because they're half fallen angel.
Yeah.
And so because of that they don't have an opportunity to be saved.
Yeah.
And I would say that, that would go into the whole, like, you don't see angels procreating. Now, again, the argument could be, well, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening.
Right.
But you're not seeing angels procreating. You don't see female angels. You don't hear anything about like new angels. It seems as if
all of the Valentine's angels are like little kid-like cherub things. So they're
Right.
And it's funny, they're made to be cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but I would just say that I think that saying, could Satan corrupt the bloodline? Well, sure. I guess, if we're going to go on the possibility, is there a possibility?
That's where I'm at. Possibility.
Yeah, I think there's a possibility that he could, but I do think at that point you have to say you are stepping outside of what you see the scriptures saying. Like the scriptures didn't say that that's what was happening. You only see that, there were sons of God from that argument. I'm saying you see that sons of God came to daughters of men, so angels came to women
And
bore children to them.
Yeah.
That's all that you get,
Yeah.
and that's when there were giants in the land.
Yeah.
At that time.
But also people were living old ages. You brought
Yeah.
up the age
Yeah.
thing, but Adam was definitely not a crossbreed.
Yeah.
I love the idea that Adam had information downloaded into his brain.
That's really cool.
Like that is the most.
Yeah.
He's the only guy without a belly button.
Right. Yeah.
The only
Isn't that wild to think
He
about?
doesn't need a belly button.
That is-
no
Named every creature.
no umbilical cord needed.
Yeah.
And so, he had information downloaded into him. He was an old man. How old did he live? Like
912.
gosh, yeah.
900 years.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's also an interesting study. Some guy's got a chart. I don't have it, but I've seen it.
Yes.
It's really cool. And it shows you just how far like Adam was living in comparison to Noah. Man,
Yes.
Adam got real, like it was very interesting. Like you had like like how much Adam was crossed over.
Did
with
I
these
send
people.
that to you? I was that you not having that conversation? And the
Maybe.
the crossover?
Yeah, of like
How-
what you see in those generations.
Yes.
It's really cool.
Oh, it's so cool.
So anyways, I would say though that my answer is it possible that Satan would do that? Yes. But also remember that anything Satan's doing, he's having to ask permission for it. Even
Yeah.
when he came and attacked Job, he had to ask permission to do that.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's also interesting that that's not the tactic that he used to convince Adam and Eve to bring evil into the world to
Yeah,
begin with.
yeah.
He came to them. And by the
Yeah.
way, with Adam and all his knowledge that was downloaded into him, I also find it very interesting that the Bible says that Eve was deceived, but Adam sinned.
Sure. Yeah.
I always
sure.
remind my sons of that when I'm talking to them about, when you're getting interested in girls,
Yeah.
just remember that Adam willingly knew what he was giving up
Yeah.
for Eve.
Yeah.
That's a crazy thought. That's
wild to think about.
In other words, he saw that Eve had sinned. He recognized we're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And willfully did it. He was willfully choosing Eve over God.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing. He was
Yeah.
like, well, God told us not to, but I'm going to choose Eve over that.
Yeah.
They will convince you. That's what I was
There
telling
is a-
sons. I'm like, they have an ability to convince you to do the thing that you think you'd never do.
Yeah.
And
It-
So pick the right one.
yeah, that's
yeah.
right. There's an important
Choose
facet.
wisely.
That is a
But
very
what I'm
important.
saying is though that how come? And again, I'm not trying to answer questions. I'm just saying that in my brain I go, Satan didn't destroy the bloodline with Adam and Eve. He
Yeah.
tempted her to sin, and she was tempted and was deceived, and she sinned. Adam willfully knew, and he sinned. And
Yeah.
then that's really the tactic that we see from the enemy, very specifically, even up to the point of Jesus. Here's Jesus, and he goes out into the wilderness to be tempted.
Yeah.
And so, that's what we see of sin is that when sin is given an occasion, and then, when you fall to that and it's fully conceived, sin brings forth death.
Yeah.
And so the thing to bring forth death is already there. It's sinful. And by the way, I also think there's something else to say about the fact that men are naturally bent towards sin. Like we're born in sin. We
Yeah.
are sinful people from
Yeah.
birth.
Yeah.
And so, Satan doesn't have to recreate that because we're already there.
Yeah.
And so that's why.
Your idea is that if Adam and Eve they were deceived, Eve was deceived and Adam chose sin, but that was his tactic to get them to stumble. Like if he's the great deceiver, I don't think it's a far stretch to say that. Hey man, maybe he's got other tactics.
He's got a lot of
Sure.
tactics.
Yeah.
So again, this dilution of the bloodline
Yeah.
idea, and it's just an idea. It's just a fun thought exercise.
Yeah.
And, but there's it fits with his character. I love that you brought this up. This is something I hadn't really considered before, that the devil has to ask permission for when he messes with God's people. That is true for what I would say as Job, as a believer. I don't know that he has to ask that for people that are not, people that are living in sin and don't have
Oh
that.
yeah, for sure. Just so you were clear, like the ask thing was probably just my verbiage.
No, but I liked it.
But it has to be it has to be something that God allows him to do. He can't
Yeah.
do things that God. Satan doesn't allow God to do stuff.
Yes.
God does what he wants because he's completely all powerful. Satan is not all powerful. So anything that Satan is doing, he's doing because God is allowing in this. There might be something that God just it's just in Satan, like he's able to do something, but his ability only goes as far as God has allowed him
Yeah.
to go. And
I mean-
does he have the ability to corrupt the bloodline that God made when God breathed into the nostrils of man
Right.
and when God created man as the highest of his created order, which goes back to the aliens thing, by the way. If God's created man as the highest of his order and then tells man to take care of the earth and till the earth and
Yeah.
all those things, then I would say it would have to be permitted by God for Satan to be able to do that. They would have to be allowed, that God allowed Satan to come in.
I
and
think by the
bloodline.
same facet, it wouldn't have to. Yes, everything has to be allowed by God. I agree, but God also allows us to choose. As people, I think people are already choosing whatever life they want, and then there's the lack of choice, as it seems to indicate in Genesis 6, that there's a forcing. The sons of God forcing the daughters of men and bore children to them. It didn't really sound consensual. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't think it was consensual?
I think it probably was based on the nature of people at the time. But
I think it'd be based on the nature of people today. I think if
I totally agree.
If demons came down today and were like, "We want to procreate with you," there would be some dumb people who'd be like,
there'd
"I'm
be a
in."
line. There'd be a line. There's a whole line of
There'd be people like, "I'm in."
dinglings out there.
So-
Yeah.
Big
They'd
time.
regret it later, and then they'd have to come to the church, and we'd have to tell them about forgiveness in Christ. But there'd be
Yeah.
a moment in time that they'd want it.
There would be one. But man, I love this line of thinking. I don't know. I don't know that I have an answer. I don't know. I think it's always going to be fun to wrestle with.
Yeah, for sure.
And I would love for there to be that aha moment for me and know exactly the truth. But man, there's just so many topics out there that don't bear that. You know, like it's
for sure.
and I'm not meant to know, and I'm fine with that. But it's okay to wrestle with,
Here's a. I'm going to use the word because it's the popular word today. Here's a thought experiment.
brother.
Thought exercise.
Thought exercise.
Yes.
But watch this. Watch what happens, and it speaks to the power of the Word of God. That it beckons you to come back and research and talk about your brother. Dude, I'm diving into Jude, Psalms, Job, 1st and 2nd Peter, Matthew.
Yep.
It's like the Word of God in an amazing and powerful way,
Draws
in and of
you in.
itself, draws you in.
Yeah.
Draws you in with your brothers to discuss things.
Yep.
And man, I believe that is totally one of the reasons why there are like mysteries.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it beckons us to come research this.
It is the honor of kings to seek out mysteries. Is that right? Honor of
Yeah,
kings to seek these out?
because even as we're discussing it, I mean, I'm like, oh my gosh, like remembering things. Like, I love this. Jesus identifies peacemakers as those who shall be called sons of God. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. So I just love how this speaks to the power of the living Word.
Yeah.
In and of
All right.
itself, bringing together fellowship, discussion.
That's the blessed are the peacemakers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For they shall be called sons of God.
Yeah.
The ancient Israelites called the Bible meditation literature. It's like you never fully. It's like you always come back to it for life.
I forgot that. That's
It's so good, and I'm like, man, we're like doing it right now. I love
Meditation literature.
I love it. But
I would say this of like the whole thing. I think that it's okay to draw an opinion,
of course,
and you really should. Like, it's good. I remember when I was in school, and they used to say that often. They were like, you are forced as a pastor. You are forced to have an opinion.
Sure.
You cannot constantly leave people on the like.
Well,
yeah, for sure, of course,
You have to be able to tell them this
Yeah.
is what we believe about that. And it's okay to say you don't know sometimes.
Sure,
But,
sure.
but like, there are going to be things we're going to have to say, like, this is as best as we know.
Yeah.
This is what we see.
Yeah.
Right.
And for me,
Yeah.
the Nephilim one is very interesting because I don't know a lot of people that take some like to point at me and go, well, you have the Sethite view. And I go, well, I find very few people who have the Sethite view. And most everybody that I know says angels, we've all heard it, like
Right.
angels
Yeah,
and
yeah,
women
yeah.
had kids, and that's how you ended up with the
Yeah,
giants.
yeah.
And for me, it was a line of questions that said, okay, how did they survive the flood? That then
Sure.
led me to say, I don't think that they did survive the flood. I
Right.
think all of those guys died, and they showed up a second time. And I
Right.
think that happened through natural selection of genetics. That's just my own personal opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
I love the thought of what we see in. I love the thought of what we see in the scriptures of like these kind of like big kind of supernatural things that can happen in the natural world.
Yeah.
And so I kind of would love it to be like there were these half breed of people, and that's how you ended
it's
up
wild
with
to
them.
think about. Yeah.
But I just don't know that my brain says it could be there. And one more thing I would give you that we didn't talk about too much is a lot of what people hear and they share with me, not in this conversation today, but a lot of what has been shared with me ends up coming out of the Book of Enoch.
Yeah, right.
And
Right,
then people bring me this Book of Enoch stuff, or Book of Enoch specifically, which gives a little more detail about like these guys with 6 fingers and 6 toes. That's biblical. We haven't actually got to that yet. It's actually really cool when you do get to that. I'm saying in church, because we've been doing the Real House of David. And so you'll actually get to this point that Goliath's brothers are going to get taken out. We
Yeah.
haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
But what actually ends up happening, what's really cool, is David gets too old to fight. And all these men that he's been training all these years, they're the ones that go fight the giants,
Oh, wow.
and they beat the giants.
Oh, that's so cool.
And also, interestingly enough, you find out that Goliath had 4 other
Yeah.
brothers.
Yeah.
And how many smooth stones did David pick up out
Right.
of the river that day
Yeah.
when he went and got 5 smooth stones.
Yeah.
But he only used 1 on Goliath.
Right. Right.
But he had 5 of them.
So good.
You
Got
find
4
out,
left.
So good.
and then at the very end of David's life, you find out that Goliath had 4 other brothers.
Yeah.
And now David's men go and take out all these other guys who were Goliath's brothers.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't. That's where you hear that one of those guys had 6 fingers and 6 toes.
Yeah.
That's the only place that you're getting that reference in the Bible. Now, Book of Enoch says they had 6 rows of teeth. And then Book of Enoch doesn't say this, but other people give me the reference to say, oh, see 666, 6 fingers, 6 toes, 6 rows of teeth. And I'm like, I mean, come on. Like, and again, 666 is actually 666, not just 3 6s, but it's 666. And that's the number of a man is what we're told. If you have ears to hear this, that, it's the number of a man, 666. And so that's not the same as 6 fingers, 6 toes, 6 rows of teeth, or whatever. So anyways, I'm just saying that I don't give credence to the things that I hear out of the Book of Enoch. Maybe those things can be true, but I don't lean on them as if they're scripture. I say if it's in the scripture, that's what I believe. But if it's in the Book of Enoch, I'm like, well, that might be cool to read, but
Right.
you can't necessarily hang your hat on all of that.
Yeah.
Same thing with the intertestamental, books, all the apocrypha books. There could be history in there, but there is also things that is definitely not scriptural truth inside of those
Right,
books.
breathed
And so,
out.
yeah, so you can't take those for gold.
Yeah. Good
Boys,
stuff. Good talk, man. I know. Look at that.
We spent our entire time.
52.
We just spent our entire time talking about
Timothy's like, what's
Yeah,
up?
but this was good.
Yeah.
This was good.
Trump.
This was great.
Trump golden statues,
Yeah.
Nephilim,
Aliens.
frog digging.
Frog kicking. That's
You're
right.
welcome for that, by the way.
That's right. It was a good one.
I kind of feel like this is my favorite podcast.
I'm about to say
Of our-
my prediction.
Is this
mo-
4?
most
That's
viewed?
3.
This is the 4th.
This is 4.
This is 4, yeah. Okay.
I think this will be the most viewed.
You think so? Sure.
We talked about all the weird stuff.
Yeah, all the weird stuff.
Everybody loves
We
to
didn't talk about all the weird stuff.
I've had a lot of teenagers in the youth group and stuff be like, I would love to hear you and Pastor Justin talk about this. And I was like, I don't know why. He's way more knowledgeable than I am, but I definitely had fun in our
Oh,
conversation.
dude, it's
Awesome.
great.
Good.
It's so good.
You've got all the good questions.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
You're
wow.
like, hey, how about this though?
It's so good.
I think-
We'll have to save stuff for next time.
I know. I want to hear.
Oh, there's plenty.
If you guys are watching this, I want to hear what are some questions you have that you'd like to hear us address.
That's good. Yeah.
I'm down for addressing some questions.
That would,
Come on. I'm ready.
All right, guys. Well, I think we better wrap it up.
Yeah.
It was a good talk today. We didn't get to the sermon at all, but that's okay. I think it was a good conversation either.
There's always next week.
That's right.
Always next
All right,
week.
guys.
That's
Join
right
us
with
then
that.
next week. See y'all.
See you guys.